when I talk about my son, it's still hard. My son, look, there we go. He's the one, again, we started coming here because of him.
I've heard many horror stories in my position as an administrator from parents who have tried to get their children involved in community participation of some kind, particularly dance schools, and they've been really turned away because their children could not cope with the structure of the lessons or with the groupings or what have you. Okay, hi, my name is Sheila Burgess, and I am a retired special education administrator. I knew Melissa from, I think, when she started Unique Steps. She didn't know me. I was a local principal in North Attleboro, and all of a sudden I heard about this dance teacher who was doing some remarkable things with some of my students with disabilities and making some nice headway with them. I'm talking about students who have autism, who are kind of blocked off from the world, and she was having some successes with opening them up a little bit, and I was very fascinated by that.
I'm Melissa Medeiros, the director and owner of Unique Steps Dance Academy. Therapeutic program was born out of the need, to be honest. You know, we were getting referrals for kids who had diagnoses, they were neurodiverse, and I was in graduate school at the time. And I thought, you know what, I can support these kids.
Hello, my name is Daniel Collings. My daughter goes to the ballet school here at Unique Steps. Her name is Daniela, and she is the most charming 6-year-old you would ever meet. Well, so my wife and I, we live in Stoughton, and originally we were looking for an opportunity for Daniela to experience some things any normal kid would want to do. My wife looked around and thought of ballet and took her to a ballet school actually in Stoughton. You know, it didn't go well. Our daughter was very, just couldn't sit still, and so they just sort of said, this is probably not the place for you. And, it's dejecting as a parent to hear that about your child. My wife is a review person. She lives and dies by reviews, and the reviews were great, and she brought her here, and the rest is history. We've been here 2 years now, and it's been an amazing opportunity for my daughter.
Hi, I'm Cheryl McKim. My grandchildren both attend Unique Steps, and I am thrilled to be speaking to you this evening. My oldest grandchild, who is currently 9, her name is Ari, from when she was initially first verbal, was telling us that she wanted to be a ballerina. The children that have these different abilities can't go to any dance studio. They can't go to any class. And I very clearly remember one evening, Grandpa and I were sitting in the living room, and he said to me, "Look at this." And he handed me the phone that had the write-up of Unique Steps, what their discipline is, what their theory is, what their education is. And I all but got up and ran off the sofa and came up here because I was so excited to think that something like this really existed.
So my niece Anastasia has special needs. She is MR, and she had been dealing with epilepsy, so she had a lot of seizures. And she really didn't have extracurricular activities outside of school. She definitely could benefit from a little more confidence and some physical activity. So I went looking for a dance school for her, and you really wouldn't believe it, but I called almost everybody in the area. I went on Google and I looked up dance studios in the area. I went to Rehoboth, I went to Norton, North Attleboro, South Attleboro, Attleboro. I can't tell you how many people I talked to. And because she has special needs, even though she is older, they wanted to put her in with 5 and 6-year-olds because she was starting dance.
I met Melissa through a Facebook group that we're both part of. We had a Zoom during COVID, and she had gone into depth about her studio and how they worked with kids with special needs. And at the time, my son was just recently diagnosed with autism. So we were still kind of lost in the whole process of that. So I'd reached out to Melissa personally and asked her for more information. But having a daughter who was 2 years older, I didn't want her to be left out. So we had asked if there was a class that they could both be together or at the same time. And Melissa had taken both of them under her wing.
So Amaya started dancing here, I think it was a year or two ago. She started with Community Autism Resources. They had classes here, just like once a week as like a trial type thing. And we had been looking for a while for activities for her to do. There aren't many places for her to go where she's, welcomed and accepted. So when she started here, she immediately loved it.
One of the focuses of our therapeutic program is to help build social connection with some of our students who are neurodivergent. And also it helps build body awareness and help with emotional regulation. Hi, I'm Katie Monopoly, and I'm a registered dance movement therapist and a master's level mental health counselor. When families bring their children here, they know that we are looking at them with a lens as a whole person, not just as a dancer. So dance obviously is great for their physical bodies, but also is good for mental health and social connection. And I think that's something we really try to foster here at the studio.
My sister Rachel loves to dance here. I think when she's in her therapeutic class, she's very happy and she loves to dance. Every week she talks about, I gotta go to dance. And I think the one-on-one teacher with her, it helps her and she's able to learn the moves and the steps and everything. And she loves to put on the costume and it just makes her happy.
A lot of the girls treat Anastasia and everyone else in here like family. The first time we went to rehearsal, I didn't know about the makeup and the stuff, and the girls grabbed her and just did her face up. And it was so moving to see people of that age, because a lot of times the high school kids will kind of tear each other down, but that's not the way it is here.
Unique has done a lot for my son and the family as a whole. We walk in and it's like, everybody's friendly. The community here is just one of a kind. It really is.
She came home, and I wasn't there the first class, but she came home and she was telling me all about it. And that's not really typical for her. She would just be like, good, but she was so excited about it. Miss Melissa had approached me and said, I think she'd be a great fit for our therapeutic program. And she asked if she wanted to be in the recital, which I had no idea was even something that was possible, like for my daughter, to be honest. And I remember I was crying when she asked me, and I was so excited. And of course I said yes, and so she's been here ever since, and it's been fantastic.
I knew she was doing something very special here because children were succeeding in a very significant way.
She's just so accommodating with everything. She said to me, okay, well, next Wednesday, and this was a Wednesday, by the way, next Wednesday we have the therapeutic dance class at 3:30. Can you have her here then? I said, I could have her there at 3:30 today if you'll let me. And she said, sure. And that's just how it happened.
I think what's important to know is that your child is in a safe environment, and your child is in an environment of people who recognize that they need help and they're willing to give them that help. I think it's great, again, to have other parents who are also experiencing that same thing who can be encouraging to you. And I think you can see actually the growth and development from the Christmas show, and they also have the show in the summer. And so we've seen improvement in my daughter.
I love that here they allow the kids to just be themselves and be free and who they are unapologetically. I'm not worried if my daughter has a meltdown or anything like that, because I know that Melissa and the other teachers are fully prepared and experienced to just help her through that. It's hard as a parent of a child with special needs, when you go places, you never know. Sometimes she's completely fine, and then other times she's super upset and I have no idea why. And the judgment that you get from other people is tough. So being, oh God, here we go, about being in a place that's so welcoming to my daughter and our family is great. Sorry.
It's really amazing, and I love it here so much, which is why I've stayed now for 3 years, and now I officially work here and I'm not an intern anymore. And it's so amazing because I think dance therapy is one of those things that a lot of people are like, what is that? What do you do with that? So I think watching the progression of students here is just kind of living proof that it is such a helpful, beneficial, wonderful thing.
Children with disabilities, particularly children with autism, really respond to music and really respond to using their bodies in tune with music. The problem is that nobody is really dealing with that on a really large scale basis, and really all of those children need that desperately. And Melissa was answering that call. Unfortunately, she's just a little tiny school, so she doesn't have the outreach that she really deserves to have. But this should be replicated everywhere because it's just an amazing undertaking here. The way she has seamlessly included these children, and she doesn't see their disability. She only sees their ability, and that's pretty special.
So Anastasia's been dancing here for 7 years, and I don't see it slowing down. She's going to continue dancing, and she loves it.
They're very concerned for everybody. It's not just the younger ones, even the older girls.
She's just one of probably the most fabulous humans like I've ever met.
We love this place so much that we drive 20 minutes 3 times a week to bring her here instead of going to a studio that's closer to us.
This studio has given her confidence in certain things that I think every child should have.
A place that's so welcoming and so accepting, just really to support that is amazing.
It feels great as a mom to see your kids succeed in anything, whatever that is. It looks different for every person. And when you're a special needs parent, you don't know what that looks like. And to have her do something so that other families wouldn't think twice about, having a kid dance in a recital, it meant so much to us, and it means a lot to her. And I love that we have another, I call it like, they say that it takes a village. And I'm just really happy that Melissa and her team are part of Maya's village now.
Yeah, we would love to have you as part of our dance family, and we appreciate all your referrals, so please keep sharing and letting people know that we're here. That's the most important thing, is for people to be able to find us easily if they need us, and if you have people in your life that need us, please come be a part of this with us.